Hello everybody, my name is Reese, and today I'm going to show you how I live. So the van itself is a Chevy Express 3500 I bought on Craigslist several years ago for about $8,000. And luckily the people I bought it from had remodeled it already, but it wasn't to my taste. They took some of the heavy hard work out of the way. They did the subfloor, they did the floor, and they did some paneling that I was able to use as a template. So that was very helpful for me as I started to remodel this thing for the first time. So I was grateful for that, but I made a lot of changes, and then I basically turned this into what I call V1 of this van, which you still see some remnants of today with this yellow wood paneling. I'll show you pictures of version 1 of this van right now. And I lived in this van already in 2021 for about 6 to 7 months. Until it just became unbearable. AC is a necessity, especially if you're living in Texas. And I couldn't deal with it. And I moved into an apartment, and I left this van to kind of sit for about a couple years before, in recent memory, about a year ago, I decided to remodel it for a second time and turn it into the actual van that I would see myself living in for a very long time. And so for the past year, I worked on this thing by myself mostly. I had some help from my family every once in a while, but I worked on this thing by myself on weekends and after work for an entire year to turn it into what it is now. And it's finally done as of a couple of weeks ago, and I've been living in it ever since, and it's been great. So stepping into the van, I enter from the side doors. They're double doors, it's not sliding, but that's okay. And yeah, voila, this is what greets you the moment you open the doors. You just get the closet, the drawers, and the little sink area I have, along with the bed over here. Let's get into this without further ado. Let's just go for it. So we got to start somewhere. Let's start with my hanging closet. I'm going to go ahead and open the door. The automatic light turns on, and this is what you see. These are all the shirts that I don't want to, stuff in that drawer and get wrinkled. So I made it a point to have a hanging closet in here, and it's been awesome. This closet has seen some damage during its installation. I had to do a lot of redos and a lot of just, screaming at the heavens in unbridled anger for my lack of carpentry skills. Next up is the sink. Now, this sink is pretty jank, honestly. It's not really a sink because I did not want to have to deal with gray water, fresh water, separating the two, doing that whole thing. So I decided to do kind of this weird halfway compromise of a sink where it's a 5-gallon water jug of Mountain Valley spring water that I get from my local grocery store. And what's cool about this is that this sink just detaches from the top and functions basically the same as a water fountain. And so I use this whole sink area for filling my drinking water bottle, or if I just need water to pour in a cup to like rinse while I'm brushing my teeth or doing something like that. It's really easy, and I don't have to stress about gray water smelling up my van and doing that whole thing. So yeah, that's the story of the sink. Sink in quotation marks. Next up is this set of drawers. All right, so I have a confession to make. Of all the carpentry that you see before you, these drawers are not actually made by me. I know. They're actually pine IKEA drawers. Shirts up here, pants and stuff here, and then this is like pantry stuff. So these are the drawers. Good storage. Now for the remainder of this area, like the bed area and whatnot, I'm just gonna kind of blitzkrieg through it so we can get to the stuff you really wanna see, like my air conditioning, my fan, the good stuff, you know what I mean? So yeah, this is kind of just my tabletop miscellaneous area where I have a bookshelf, little Bluetooth speaker that I love. I got it off of Amazon. I love that speaker, it's awesome. Bonus points if you can tell me where this coffee mug is from. So moving on, we got the bed, and then we got the AC, which I'll talk about in a moment, and we got the curtains, and then the upholstery right here that my mom and I worked on. She's really skilled at arts and crafts. I love my mom, and she was so kind enough to help me out with this aspect of the build because this blue upholstery covers up a lot of really unsightly stuff in my van. Stuff like just hanging cables and pieces of just like industrial automotive, stuff behind there, and it just covers it up, makes this all just blend in very nicely. It's in the front too, as you can see here. So this was a long project that took my mom and I many days of work, but I'm so glad we invested the time and did it. I can't thank my mom enough for helping me with that. So the cedar planks that you see were actually milled from a sawmill just down the road from my old apartment. I used to live in Bastrop, Texas, which is about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the traffic, away from Austin, Texas. And I got these planks from this local sawmill. And these planks are very special to me because I love Bastrop, so I was happy to support a local business, and I get to kind of carry a bit of Bastrop with me wherever I go. Plus, red cedar smells amazing and it keeps out the bugs, and it just looks pro as hell, man. I mean, I just love my cedar planks. It was one of the best choices I made for my van, like hands down. Moving on, next we have my fantastic fan right here. As you can see on the roof view, it has a rain cover so that when it rains, it doesn't get into my van, because that would suck for obvious reasons. You know, this opens the cover and then I can just turn it on and it only sucks air out. It does not push air in, which is very nice. Next, we have my LED lights. There's 6 of them, as you can see. They're wired to this little control switch here. They're all dimmable, so I'll turn them on. This is them on at full blast, and then I can dim them down a little bit. And that's pretty much all there is to it. And the control box that houses their power, as well as the power for my fan here, is all the way over here to this funny little box I have with this sticker that says, "Remember kids, electricity will kill you." So you open it up here, and this is where the bus bar is for all of that. And now we move on to what you've been waiting for. AC. Countless videos have been made on this subject. Philosophers and scientists and mathematicians have pored over this question, but I solved it, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. It's actually very straightforward. So this is a Frigidaire. It's a 5,000 BTU AC that you could buy for like 150 bucks off of Amazon. The unique aspect of this AC, which I'll probably make a whole nother video on just for itself, is the fact that it's where my window is supposed to be. So it's like, how did I do that? What is going on with that? You know, it wasn't easy. So what I did, and I'm gonna try to keep this as concise as possible because I just wanna make another video on this in the future, but I cut out the window, left this one, obviously, and then I got this metal aluminum sheet at Lowe's. I got 3 of them. I put one on the outside, and then I sandwiched 2 on the other side of the pane on the inside here. And then I bolted them together to form like a sandwich so that they would like hold together very well. And then I cut out the square to fit the dimensions of the AC. Then I did the extremely difficult part, which was wrangling this thing in and trying to get it in the square that I cut out for it. And then at the same time, angling it so that it was tilted slightly downward, as you can see. This is extremely important to do for these AC units because what happens if you don't do that is they need to drain. Look at that. So this hole is right here. I don't know if you can see it, but this is where excess water drains out. And if you have it flat like that, if you just have it flat, the water's gonna pool in the system and then it's gonna spill back inside of the van, and so you obviously don't want that. So wrangling this thing every freaking evening after work, trying to get the angle right and just like pulling my hair out over this was just, oh my God, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do construction-wise, like in my whole life. So I secured it to this aluminum sheet with this bracket thing that came with the AC. And I kind of bent this bracket so that it could compensate for like the weird angle right here. So I bent this bracket so that it could be flush with this sheet. I bolted this bracket in, and then I just did a bunch of sheet metal screws straight into the AC unit, which was nerve-wracking because I thought maybe the sheet metal screws were going to damage some of the components. Luckily they didn't. And so then the top of that was taken care of, and then down here I just sealed up everything with silicone weatherproof sealant and some garage seal right there. And that pretty much accounts for the outside. So I painted it white to match the color of the whole van, and yeah, this is pretty much it. You can't see it because the upholstery is covering up the sides here, but underneath the AC unit itself here, I did another bracket where I basically did the same thing I just described outside. I like machine screwed the bracket to the AC itself, and then I bolted the bracket to the aluminum sheet where the window was supposed to be. I did all this on the inside right here. And then I attached 2 safety lines, this thick metal cable. I looped it towards the bottom through these loops on the AC, and then I looped it through the chassis of my van so that if worst comes to worst, and my God, this would be like the nightmare of all van nightmares imaginable. But if the worst comes to pass and this thing just like falls off while I'm driving down the highway, it's not going to hurt somebody or, God forbid, kill somebody, because the steel cables are going to catch it, and it's going to buy me enough time to at least pull over to the side of the road and like deal with that situation, because that is a situation. People have this misconception about AC inside of your van if you're going to live the van life, that, oh, you need to agonize over like which AC, oh, which AC is the best? Is it this one or is it this one? You know what I mean? People get in these crazy debates over which AC unit you need to do when they really should be talking about their power supply. People don't address that enough. They just debate which AC is the best. So I didn't agonize over which AC to get. What I did agonize over was my power supply. And that is what I definitely dropped the most coin on in order to make this happen. Let me use this as a natural segue to talk about my solar generator and how I power this whole thing. And then I'll cover a few more things. We'll close out this tour. Thank you very much for bearing with me so far. And I'll give you some of my final thoughts at the end. So this power supply is a Bluetti AC 200L. It comes with 2400 watts of storable watt hours in it, meaning that if I only just got this generator and nothing else, knowing that my AC back there basically takes 450 to 500 watt hours to power, so 500 stored watts of energy per hour, I could only run my AC for, 4 something hours, right? Given that there's only 2400 watts of watt hours stored in this unit right here. But that's not enough power, so I had to get this expansion battery right here. Basically, this expansion battery adds like another, I think it's like 2500 watt hours. It's like basically doubles, if not more. I can't quite remember. I'll put it on screen if I can get the number exactly. And it lets me run this AC for 7+ hours every single night, and I still have like 20 to 15% of stored energy left when I wake up and I go through my morning routine. That's insane. So lastly, we're gonna talk about my fridge, and then we're gonna talk about like one of the most underratedly cool things I got for this van that has like saved my life already. So this fridge right here actually is very small. I got it many years ago, and it stores so much. You would be so surprised how much it can store. It's crazy. And I love it. It's very trusty. It does not use that much power. And come on, cooperate. There we go. It doesn't use that much power from my system here, and it's never let me down. It's a Dometic fridge that I don't think they actually make anymore, and I can't remember the model. I apologize, but I'll put it on screen if I can find it. So lastly, to close this whole thing out, I want to talk to you about this thing, which is so freaking cool. It is a screen, a touch screen that snaps over my rear view mirror right here, and it replaces it basically. And what it is there's 3 cameras. There's a cabin camera that's just kind of recording what's happening in my driver's seat here. I don't really understand the point of it. There was an option to have like the GPS, this GPS module attached to this thing so that it will like send data up to satellite that would get stored in the cloud or something. No, man, this stuff's made in China. I don't trust that. I took that out. There's a dash camera, so it records what's happening in front of me, as you can see here. If you want to tilt it up or down, you can do so, like that. So the reverse camera is always running when I'm driving so I can see behind me. Because when I'm driving, man, it's hard to see. This is like a long van, and the windows are obscured a little bit by the curtains, and I can't even see on this side because this is the driver's side, and I rely on this mirror only to be able to look out for the left side of my whole van here. And so this covers all the bases for me, visually speaking, and it's saved my life already, man. I thought I was okay to make a turn, and then I look at this thing, I'm like, nope, there's a guy like right here, and I would not have been able to see him, honestly. This is a great setup. I'm gonna close out the video here. I'm gonna give you some final closing thoughts on like why I'm doing this van life thing for the second time in my life, what's going on. Basically, I turned 30 last year and I reflected on my 20s, as one does, I guess, when you turn 30. Because when I turned 30, I was like, man, it kind of hit me, you know? And I reflected on past 10 years of my life. I reflected on the wins, the losses, and there were quite a few of those things in both regards. But as we know, you know, the losses and the negatives kind of stick out a little bit more because that's kind of how we're hardwired. And while I do appreciate some of the big progress I've made in my 20s, some of the wins I've gotten, you know, especially towards the end, getting into this career that I'm in now, that I've been working for the past 3 years, it's been the best job I've ever had. There's been some good stuff for sure. But man, I think one of the biggest things that hit me when I reflected was the fact that I was just playing small for most of my 20s. I had moments here and there where I would put myself out there and it certainly paid off, but it was never enough to make a consistent pattern develop, you know? And I knew that I had to kind of just make a drastic change to put myself out there in the world again and force myself, make my environment work for me, make my environment compel the better aspects of my nature. There's a misconception out there that, you know, living this lifestyle is playing small, is, you know, hiding from the world, is, you know, sequestering yourself away from things so that you don't have to face your problems, that you can just go on these cool hikes and go to the Grand Canyon all the time and just, you know, get away from it all, man. You know, certainly people do that, but the way I'm living this lifestyle, I'm staying in one city, I'm working one job that requires me to be in a location, but I'm living in a camper van, which makes my lifestyle fairly flexible at the same time. You know, when you live that lifestyle, no, you're not playing small. You're forced to be out in the world. You're forced to talk to people more. You're forced to actually interact and be a part of this world that makes you actually grow. And that's what I wanted to do with this. That's why I moved into this van. And so my goals are to connect with more people, make more friends outside of work, have more experiences like that, find a sort of brotherhood with some other guys who are on the same page as me. But ultimately, man, exit Smeagol mode, get out of my cave, get out of my hidey hole, just actual living, you know? So that's why I'm doing this. Thank you very much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me that you took the time to watch this and when you had like literally a million other options to watch for a van tour. This is my van. I made it my own and I was happy to share it with you. If you have any questions about this build or anything like that, let me know down below. Or any questions for me whatsoever about, like, you know, my background, like what my goals are, or if you want to just share with me what your goals are and what your thoughts are on this lifestyle, please let me know that as well. I would love to have a conversation started. But yeah, guys, I think van life's coming back. I think it's coming back. I think it kind of hit a downturn for a little bit there and people got cynical. People got tired of the fake Pinterest, Instagram bullshit that people were pulling, you know? I think it's coming back in a you know, in a more refined, wholesome form of itself than it was before. Less plastic, more organic, if that makes sense. So that's what I strive to do when I document my lifestyle here going forward and share some of my thoughts. And I hope you get some value out of it. So hit subscribe if you want to see more of this. And thank you again for watching. My name is Reese, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.